I have a big update to share with you guys about Latisha. She recently had a court hearing, and at this court hearing, she was facing multiple different charges. She was facing a felony theft charge from 2024 after she decided to steal almost $9,000 from one of her tax clients. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to take the money and I'm going to put it towards your tax payments. Instead, she pocketed the money. Then she was facing the 2025 felony identity theft and forgery charges after she decided to get this house in this lady's name, and she ended up using this lady's name, her social security number, and all her identifying information to pretend to be this lady to get this house. Then she got behind on rent, and the landlord ended up suing this lady, and they later found out it was Latisha. And then she had the misdemeanor marijuana possession charge from back in 2025, back when Keith was arrested, and then the police showed up at her house, searched her house, and found, I think it was like a quarter ounce or so of marijuana that she had next to her bed in her nightstand. So she was arrested, and she was facing all these charges at court. So at this court hearing, they ended up submitting a plea deal, and the judge accepted her plea deal. And they did make a note in this plea deal and in the court records that she is being charged as a habitual offender. So she ended up pleading guilty to the 2024 felony theft charge and the 2025 felony theft charge and identity theft charge when she stole that lady's information. As part of Latisha's plea deal, since she pleaded guilty to the more severe charges, the judge decided to drop the misdemeanor marijuana charge from 2025 and drop the 2025 felony identity theft charge, but she was still hit with a forgery charge from what she did in 2025 with that lady's house. And Latisha was told that, hey, if we're going to do this plea deal, you have to admit to what you did wrong. So Sarcasm ended up sharing some of the statements she made. She admitted, this is what she said about the felony theft. It seems like a real typical ChatGPT response. She said, on or about April 26th of 2023 in Scott County, Iowa, I did take the property of another with intent to deprive the other thereof, or did misappropriate another's property in my trust or possession or control by using or disposing of the property in a manner inconsistent with or a denial or of the trust or owner's right in the property. The value of this property exceeds $1,500 but does not exceed $10,000. So that's a real fancy way to say she stole someone's tax money. She pocketed it instead of putting it towards her taxes like she claimed she was going to. And then she admitted to the felony forgery. She said on August 22nd of 2024, she fraudulently used a writing with the intent to defraud or injured someone. I did so with the knowledge that I was facilitating a fraud or injury to be perpetrated by anybody by altering the writing of another, and with a government-issued instrument withhold the permission to do so. So I do not want to hear Latisha's ass out here trying to deny any of these allegations that she admitted in black and white in the courtroom that she did, and ended up doing this plea deal where she pleaded guilty to all this, because all these charges she has denied in the past on social media. But I'm like, oh, just wait till I go to court. Justice is going to be served and all this is going to be dropped. The only cases that were dropped is because of the plea deal, because you ended up admitting to half the other cases. And she knew that this was probably going to be in her best interest, because she knew that there's so much evidence against her that if she didn't take the plea deal, as she took this to trial, she was smart to take that plea deal, because I feel like if she would have went in front of a jury, they would have hung her ass to the freaking fire, and they would have gave her probably a minimum of like 10 years. But with her being a habitual offender in the state of Iowa, if you're a habitual offender who has multiple Class D and Class C felonies like Latisha is, then the minimum sentence that you can have is a sentence of 3 years. So she's looking at a minimum of 3 years in prison before she'll be allowed to get out and be on parole. It says a habitual offender is someone convicted of a Class C or Class C felony who has twice before been convicted of any felony in Iowa, and a person sentenced as a habitual offender shall not be eligible for parole until the person has served a minimum sentence of confinement of 3 years. While the minimum is 3 years, a habitual offender sentence is typically treated as a 15-year sentence for a Class C felony or a 10-year sentence for a Class D felony. And don't forget the fact that I shared from Sarcasm earlier in the video that the Iowa House just passed a bill last month that the mandatory minimum for habitual offenders will now go from 3 years to 20 years. But that's only for crimes that happened after they passed this new law a month ago. So she would have did this, got in trouble with these charges like now, she would have been looking at a minimum of 20 years. And you know Keith's ass wouldn't have stuck around for no 20 years. Do you guys think that Keith's going to stick around for these 3 years and step up and be a father to her children? I mean, we saw how big of a deal he was making about possibly stepping up or adopting one of her children on the show. So I don't think he has what it takes to step up for 3 whole years. He's probably going to be a goner by the time she's done. But I wouldn't be shocked if we see her come back for a season of Love during Lockup, because I'm not going to lie, I've talked to a few other cast members who are currently locked up who have been talked to by the network about coming back for a season of Love during Lockup. They're talking to some other people who've been on the show before. I can't share the names yet because they're still in the talks and I don't want to spoil anything, but hopefully there'll be an announcement eventually if they do end up going with them. But I want to be shocked if Latisha, they're going to want to film her experience and her going away, because you know they're going to be curious just as much as we are if Keith's going to stick with her through all this. But he's facing felony drug charges of his own because he got busted back when she was busted with marijuana last year, because he decided to go sell spice, aka K2, to an undercover cop. He got his ass busted and they decided to go through his house, and that's when Latisha got busted with her little 1/4 ounce of marijuana, and he's facing those charges. And with his criminal history, he's likely going to be charged as a habitual offender as well, and he's likely looking at a minimum of 3 years. But you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below, and thank you guys so much for watching.